Hello, Regina Taylor. How are you? Regina, are you able to hear me? You're on mute if you can. Great to have you. I assume you're Mrs. David Taylor, or he's Mr. Regina Taylor. I'm just kidding. Just being a smart aleck. But it's good to have you today. Hi there, how you doing?
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good. Good to finally meet you. I've been hearing a lot about you.
Let's see. Chat. Mm. Hello. Let's see.
Hi, Latricia. How you
Hello,
doing?
how are you?
Good. Hopefully you got my message. The all the new meetings and cancellations we're bumping from Thanksgiving week back a week, and then we bump the next one back a week. Cancel the one at Christmas. So what you got should have been the cancellation of any of those.
Gotcha, gotcha.
I'm not sure how Anne Marie did it, but
Yeah.
there should have been at
I
least.
just decided to open up each one to see what it was, to figure out what was going on.
Yeah. So otherwise, we're meeting on Thanksgiving Day and Tuesday of Thanksgiving week, and that doesn't work for people.
Yeah, yeah.
And we're meeting the Tuesday and Thursday of Christmas week, and that doesn't work for people. And it's just the way it kind of works out. And then we'll be back on regular schedule this week of January. So we end up having it instead of every 2 weeks, the end of November and December, we have them, a couple of them every 3 weeks. But we're always available in between.
Got it.
Yeah. I appreciate you asking.
Hi, Shirley.
Hi,
How's everything in Florida?
everything's great. Everything's pretty good.
Good.
Up on the northeast corner, right?
Yep.
Yeah, you don't want to be in the southwest corner.
No, we didn't get hit that bad, thankfully.
Yeah. Did you guys get heavy rain? I know Orlando got heavy rain, but didn't go up near you guys, did it?
Heavy rain and heavy wind.
You did. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So Matt, Regina Taylor is David Taylor's wife out of El Paso.
Hi, Regina
she's-
Taylor.
Since she's kicking up the main person, while David's still working his current job and they're starting businesses, I think she's the main entrepreneur in those businesses. So she's coming in to see what this is all about.
Well, welcome. You're in good hands.
You're not on mute, Regina, but we can't hear you yet. Try speaking. Yeah, not hearing anything. There's a way if you click the button on the mute, the upward arrow to do a check of your sound. You may already know that. Make sure you got the right microphone and speaker. So it sounds like you can hear us, but we can't hear you. All right, well, we are at 11:32, so let's get this rocking and rolling, and give us a thumbs up, Regina, if you can hear us, so at least you can. Yep, okay, so at least you can hear us, but we just can't hear you. So maybe what you'll have to do is, not yet. So we'll put you in the chat to communicate with us in the chat for any questions. We do want to have an introduction from you at some point. So if we can figure out the speaker, we'd love to hear you. And you just went off mute, but I'm not hearing you yet. Latricia and Shirley, just do a sound check so I make sure that I can hear you guys.
Check 1 2 1 2.
I hear Shirley.
Check.
Yep, I hear Latricia. Okay, good.
Got an all women's group today, Don. That's cool too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we had Missy, we'd have all 4 of our women.
That's right.
Yeah. All right, well, let's jump in. What we wanted to do touch on first is our accountability from last time, which was the spotlight. But we really were kind of talking the governance piece. We were talking about the organization structure, who's doing what are you outsourcing, who's your partners, what you guys do, what do you not do, the governance and the process is kind of all out of the book E-Myth Revisited.
Yes.
And I was curious if anybody we didn't really have a particular person in the spotlight with a particular issue. We were just kind of talking org structure. I wonder if anybody had anything come up that they want to touch on. Latricia or Shirley. Shirley, you weren't here though, so. Latricia, anything on org structure, anything that you wanted to?
Can you hear me?
Is
Hi.
that you, Regina?
Yes.
I hear you.
We hear you.
Awesome. Okay. I don't know what's wrong with the Chrome. It likes to be a little jiggy sometimes. I guess I'm the headset girl.
Yeah. Well, oddly enough, my Zoom still works with my headphones, but when I do what I've been doing, listening to videos lately, it won't work on my headphone. And I don't know why. It used to. So it's weird. Hey, Daryl, good to see you. We're just getting started. So we were just asking the question, Daryl, between you and
Hopefully you
Latricia.
can hear me.
I can hear you loud and clear. Any questions on the org structure or other conversations we had last time? Was it valuable?
No questions for me, but it was definitely valuable revisiting some of the things that we had discussed when we were going over the E-Myth, and just it was a great reminder about, the importance of everybody having a role and responsibility and defining those roles and responsibilities.
Perfect. Thanks for that feedback. I know Matt and I find it valuable. It's a lot easier to learn it than it is to implement it.
Yes.
So that
is
takes
true.
work, right? But at least if you have a path and a guide, that helps. Daryl, any feedback from you?
I mean, no, I mean, it's what we spoke about yesterday with organizational structure with regard to developing your own processes for whatever it is that you might be doing, marketing or developing or delivering products and services. I think it's important to at least have a framework and then refine it over time, obviously, and see what works, what doesn't work, and which platforms to use for what, whatever tasks or processes that you're going through. So I think it's important to have structure. You can't just really put together these ad hoc kind of plans and expect it to go smoothly.
That's right.
But over time, you can refine them. Over time, you can refine.
Yeah. So you would never create a campaign plan or a war plan or anything like that without knowing where you want to go and what the details of it are, right? So that just kind of gives you that target
Exactly.
to shoot for. Yep.
Right.
Perfect.
What's the objective? What
Yeah,
metrics, what objective are you trying to achieve? And then how do you go about achieving those?
that's right. So all the stuff that we learned over the years. So let's jump
Right.
into the education moment. What I wanted to do was share real quick and talk a little bit about Slack. You know, what we've been doing in the past is we have an open page, Military Transition Roundtable, and that's not going to be impacted. So that's 2,081 followers. We've grown that in a year from about 179. So that has a lot of people outside of MTR that we're helping and we're giving information to and we're pulling from. So we want to continue to use that. But what we have had in the past is a closed page. It's a closed group called Military Transition Roundtable Closed Group. We haven't got a lot of activity in here. So what we want to do is replace this and replace where we've had our threads over here. You know, we've created different threads, but we're limited to 50 people in any one thread. So what we've had to do is kind of break them out by members and alumni and supporters. So we have all these different threads of conversations going on that can't come across. And what Slack allows us to do is break that down. So hopefully you guys can you see my screen with Slack? Daryl, give me a thumbs up. Yep. So what's
Now
the
I can.
beauty- Thanks. What the beauty of Slack is, once I put, it's like 1,000 members on the free platform. I think I'll do more research. I'm still learning, but I put you guys in, and what it does is it automatically puts you in this general channel. All the communication happens by channel. So we can have all of us in one channel, all 65 members, all 76 alumni. We can have Matt and Anne Marie and I. We can have our board members. All of us can be in that general chat. And what it does is it allows, anytime we have a chat going on, it allows it to happen with a thread. So I don't think we have any yet that have a thread to it. Let's say this is the one I put in last week. What it'll do is once it creates, some other people comment on it, it will create a thread over here. So you'll be able to track it down. So comments won't just be in this running long list. It'll actually attach to the original, which is nice. I've done it by cohort. So I've invited all you guys to the cohort meeting. So right now, all of you, I can show up here, I've got 8 members invited into this group for cohort 5. So you can have your own cohort conversations going on. So something we talk about today, you could carry on in here just to keep talking with your thread, with your channel, your group. We can also go down here to like LinkedIn. We can have a conversation about LinkedIn, or we can do one about resume, right? The LinkedIn one allows you to put, all of them allow you to put an attachment in. So this was from 4 Block last night. I just put it in to show you guys and let Matt see what we talked last night. But you can put attachments in here. You can do videos in here. You can even do down here direct messages. So if I only want to talk to Daryl or to Regina, I can go down here and create a direct message just for her or him. So it gives us a lot of neat capabilities that LinkedIn doesn't do. But I want to emphasize, it doesn't eliminate your posting on LinkedIn, because that's where recruiters, that's where, if you're doing business with people, depending how you're conducting your business, because you guys are entrepreneurs, that might be on LinkedIn. I know mine are on LinkedIn. I think Matt's on LinkedIn. So we want to keep posting out there. We want to keep commenting and sharing, but the conversations within MTR, we're going to move to Slack. So I want you to, if everybody's got an invite, I appreciate if you would accept it. If you're not going to accept it because you don't want to play in it, just let me know, because right now we're limited to so many invites that are out there that have not been accepted. So therefore, I've got most of my alumni that I cannot invite yet. So I'm waiting for people to accept the invite. If you can't find it, let me know. I can't invite you twice, but I guess I can uninvite you and re-invite you to try to get you the email. So any questions at all, where we're trying to go? So this is part of that, increasing our capabilities as we've grown. Anybody?
No, I think it's a good idea to keep everything streamlined. I just have to get the app and see, because I belong to a couple other Slack groups, and some of them are populated on the app on my other computer, and some, for some reason, I have to open up a browser to access it. So I'm trying to figure out a streamlined way where I can have all of these memberships or whatever you will in one application, so I can just keep that open.
So you can see up here, I've got 4 separate communities that I can see right here, just like having Outlook where I can see the different emails. So here's my Military Transition Roundtable. Here's my Bunker Labs. here's my Premier Excel, which is a program I'm working in, and here's Geekdom, which is a co-working space in San Antonio. So I've been able to put them all on one. That's kind of what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
So it is
Exactly.
possible. And somehow, and I don't know how yet, you can integrate different applications, apps into this. I haven't got that far yet.
Mhm.
But note in the general, I attached somewhere a welcome to Slack PDF. So you can just go in here and you can click this open. And I wanted to highlight that real quick. Not to steal too much time, see if I can find where I put it. I'm just opening it. That's not gonna work. So what's neat, so you can go, it'll take you there, you download the PDF. I think it's in page 8. It's kind of a user's guide. And on page 8, that's what I wanted right there, is it shows the different features on that page. And then right below it, you see the names. And after that, you see the fundamentals, what each one does. So I encourage you to read through this. It's 29 pages, but it's pretty easy read. You can see it's pretty big type. So it gives you some of the fundamentals. All right.
Sounds good.
All right. I appreciate everybody's help. Appreciate everybody's interest. And we're just trying to facilitate better conversation because it's like a coaching session, right? So much of the coaching session happens in the session, but a lot of it happens outside the session. You're thinking about something and you want to put a thought down and say, hey, but you don't want it to go to everybody in the world. You just want it to go to MTR folks. Hey, I was thinking about this. What do you guys think? You know, I was challenged with this. You guys, hey, Latricia, you gave me this advice. I'm not sure I understood it. Can you give me a little bit more on that? Right. And you're sharing it within your group or a DM. You'll give that capability. All right. Well, let's go to wins and challenges. At the end of this, Regina, we're going to ask you to introduce yourself. And now that you've got audio, you can send and receive. So just think about, where you're at, what you're doing, what kind of business you're in, and maybe how this group can help you. But what we normally do here is our wins and challenges. Everybody at the end of the last meeting said, this is what you can hold me accountable for. So this is about what did we complete and what did we not complete? What happened? So Shirley, would you like to kick us off? Wins and challenges.
Sure. So one of my wins is I've coordinated with my publisher. We've already established a release date for my book.
All right.
And yeah, so right now we're just talking about, book covers and kind of the logistics of it. And so sometime in November, I think it's either the first or second week, we're planning on the release.
All right.
And
What's it
so,
called?
yeah, the book.
Yes.
So the book is called Lead Your Ship. So if you
See,
say
that-
it quick, it's Lead Your Ship.
Lead your
lead
ship. I
your
like-
ship. Yeah. But if you obviously if you say it quick, it's leadership. So it's just
wow.
principles. Yeah, it's principles on how to grow as a leader, in your professional and personal life, how to lead your life authentically and as a leader, because the first person you need to lead is yourself first. So
Right.
I did that, and then I actually got my LLC already for my coaching business. So it's gonna be called, it's called Lead Her Ship Academy. So it's for women, professional women, and yep. So my challenges, I would say right now, given that now I have employment just to kind of sustain myself as I'm building. It's just really managing my time properly and prioritizing what's important. And I know we talk a lot about that, but
It's our biggest challenge,
just-
right? Leading ourselves.
absolutely. So
Yep.
I gotta lead myself on that. So
Yep.
Mhm.
That's a good one. That is a definitely good one. Then we may come back to that. All right. Thanks. Latricia, tell us what's happening.
Let's see. some of my wins would be, I've been able to successfully get some of my teammates licensed. So I now have one licensed agent in Florida now. So my business has expanded
All right.
to Florida. So excited about that. And also I should have in the next week another licensed agent here in Texas to help me as well. And by the end of the month, I should have another person licensed in Tennessee. So again, just expanding. I've also enrolled in what we call the Next Level Academy to help me with my professional and personal growth in the business, to learn more from the leaders that's been in the business for a while. And hopefully I'll gain a mentor out of this. So we meet every 2 weeks and we get homework assignments where we have to watch movies as well as read books that they give us. And then we come back every 2 weeks to discuss those and learn more things and get other homework assignments. So it's been interesting. And one of the movies that we were given this past week was The Men That Built America. So it's been interesting to watch. And then one of the books that we were given to read is actually a John Maxwell book called The Leadership. So it's been interesting. But there was like 3 movies we had to watch. One I had seen before, which was The Secret. And then we were given 2 books to read. So those are some of my wins. Of course, the challenge was finding the time to get it all in, especially since not only am I doing my business, but I also still help my wife with our business together. So.
Yep. Excellent, excellent. Congratulations on all of those. Those are good accomplishments, good achievements. Leadership is a great book by Maxwell. I've not heard of that other movie, Men That Built America, but that's a good one. I was just thinking in my mind
Yes,
sorry, dear. I'm
history
going to be late for dinner, dear. I have to watch a movie for my class. I like that.
Yeah, you definitely, if you haven't watched it, you should definitely watch it. It's like a series, but it starts off with talking about Vanderbilt, and then it goes into the Rockefeller story, and then Carnegie and some others. So
that's awesome stuff right there. Sorry, Daryl, I stepped on you when you were talking. What did you say?
No. I think that was a series either on History or Discovery Channel. Is that the one, Latricia?
Yes, it's on
Men
the
That Built
History
America.
Channel, but you can also find it on YouTube as well.
Yeah.
That was an awesome show, The Men Who Built America.
So Regina, if you've already seen it, then that's great.
Yes, we watched it, actually, I think when it first came out, and it was on the History Channel. And David was really into it, so we all sort of gravitated toward it with him every week.
Excellent. I mean, those are the people that were the big 500 in the book Think and Grow Rich, the top 500 most successful that Napoleon Hill interviewed. Those are some of those guys that talked. And the stuff that we're talking about here comes from that. When we talk about clearly knowing what you want and putting what are you willing to give to get it? And what's the timeline, right? And setting a date for all those time management, priority management things. So that's good stuff. All right. Daryl, wins and challenges.
Oh boy. So wins, things are going relatively well right now, right? So I mean, maybe I don't want to say too well, but they're going well. So now it's a matter of developing processes and being more disciplined and focused so I can actually get the work done. And then there's another opportunity, hopefully coming up on the 28th. I'm not sure yet, and that's gonna be a lot of work as well. So really, what we spoke about earlier, at least when I first got on, is just developing those systems and making sure that I can produce as efficiently as I can the products or services that I need to produce for clients. And then, like I think it was last meeting, right? So that whole focus and discipline and getting rid of these distractions and just really getting into some deep work and getting into the flow. That's going to be critical.
Well, so far that's 3 for 3 on time management, priority management.
At the end of the
Yep.
3 time managements. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So Regina, tell us a little bit about yourself. You know, where are you at, what you've been doing, what your business is.
Okay, so my name is Regina, and we live in Texas at this time. Can everyone hear me? Just to make sure we're good. Okay. So it's nice to meet everyone. We live in Texas right now against my will, actually. And I have associate of arts and paralegal and education with a minor in religion. I have 87 semester credit hours where I've already finished my bachelor's of science paralegal, as well as modern languages. I have a host of certifications under that. And then I'm finishing my linguistics, and I have a minor that I'm finishing in literature. My goal was to start a company with David to help him to use his MBA, because I saw that he was sort of losing steam with the job that he has. And it was something that he and I had spoke about for many years about having a business together. We just really hadn't found a model at that point. I came up with the idea of Bear and Bell Cottage because I like to decorate, and I get frustrated because all of our stuff is in storage. And so I thought I could help other people decorate because I like to look at color palettes and, you know, figure out how to make a room look attractive and pretty for photography. Then I came up with David needing an outlet. So I came up with Paper Bear by Ink. And because he loves journals, he's like obsessed with journals and notebooks and papers and pens and sticky notes and the whole works. And so what we ended up doing as far as like our, what I consider our wins, is finally I have all of the websites up. So I have Etsy is now up, and I was able to figure out the digital downloads. I have Etsy Marketplace. I have Pattern, I believe it, and I have them all connected, and I've been able to create all the websites. And surprisingly, we've actually been getting people who read the blog as we've been putting up some of the products. On Wix, David's a little bit more familiar with Wix than I am. I finally have both Paper Ink by Bear and Bear and Bells up, trying to figure out Bear and Bells as more wall art, and then getting into intellectual property and making sure I wasn't stepping on anyone's toes, getting photographers from overseas who, again, going back to intellectual property, I was able to finally get that up. And I've also been creating for both businesses. One day I literally stayed up till 4:30 in the morning, and I had to delete all 39 products because David was not ready to launch. And so I had to hide them, and then I pushed the wrong button and I deleted all of that. And I had worked on that for probably 8 hours or more, so it was a little frustrating for me. The things that I feel that we're not jiving with is I'm ready to launch on social media and do the advertisements, and we can't start till Thursday. So I've had to sort of scale back my vision, I guess, in the sense of I already know what needs to go on there, but I've had to scale it back by about 5 days due to his schedule and him being a little hesitant because of all the, you know, you can reach this many people versus if you paid this much for advertisement, you can reach this many people. And I'm trying to kind of stay in the middle, but have a steady pace. Do I think that it's exactly where I would like it to be? No, because really yesterday was the first day that it all came together. And I found out at about 9:45 last night when I was like, I just don't understand why we're not getting any hits on this one account. I found out there was a little button that David had omitted, and it was a little check mark. And it just happened to just show up. And I was like, oh, wow, well, this is why you haven't been getting anything. And so once we did the check, it published, it saved, it published, and it launched. It was launched last night. So I feel like we're about 3 weeks behind, truthfully, for the Halloween season. So I've pretty much decided to focus more on Thanksgiving, Black Friday, and Cyber Monday and Christmas. But that's not all encompassing of what the business is. But from a holiday perspective, that's pretty much what I've decided to really focus on, because I feel like we've sort of lost October with all of the sort of technical issues. It's also really hard when my degree is not in an MBA and I feel like I'm doing marketing, advertising, sales. I'm looking for sample packs. I'm picking up Vistaprint. I'm doing Got Print. I'm running everything together. So it's really hard. But I also think that it's important that he keeps his job with his retirement and his disability, because that's pretty much what we're used to having as far as an income. And until he can make at least what he's making at his job and hopefully double plus, I don't think that he should lose it. I do feel that we're on a time crunch because our lease where we're at right now is up literally on February 28th. And I don't want to go into a third year here because it's very scary during the summer here because we're on the border. And it can be very intense, the things that we have to deal with. All of our neighbors are moving their houses, and their duplexes and townhouses are all up for sale. So there's pretty much there's us and one military family next to us that's left that we even really say hi to at this point. So it's very uncomfortable. So we really don't, we have like a whole bunch to have we've had wins, but we have losses too. I can't control the losses as much as I would like. And we have this timeline that is very stressful because of the move. So that's where I am. We are.
Well, I appreciate all that detail. And I think everybody here would probably tell you that when they launched, we were nowhere near where we wanted to be as we got started, right? So you're creating a plan, and then things are always, you're going up and down and up and down, and a lot of things you didn't think about, and it's never as easy as you think it's going to be. So all you can do is just be persistent and keep plugging, right?
That's what I keep telling myself.
Yeah. Which can be frustrating, but it is what we got to do. All right, let's go to Spotlight. What we do in this one, Regina, is you've got a group of entrepreneurs here, and this is the time where we can ask questions, can share information, can get advice, things that are holding you back, things that you've got to work on, things that, oh, wow, I didn't even think about that, from a business perspective. So what we do is we have somebody who has a question, we define that question, we ask questions to help define it better for ourselves and for them, and then we give advice. We don't give advice until we've asked the questions. So who might, and Regina, you're open to participate in this either as an issue and or definitely questions and advice. So who might have an issue, a question, a thought they want to bring forward? Time management certainly is out that way. I think everybody is struggling with it, including Matt and I.
Yep.
Let me ask the question. What's the primary issue for each of you holding you back on I'm going to call it priority management, right? Because you can't manage time. You only have so much time in a day. So it's what you do in that time. What's the thing that's really limiting you? The big frustration. Shirley, I'll start with you.
I mean, basically, it just boils down to myself, you know. Sometimes I psych myself out, and like I already got the tools and the resources I need to do what I need to do. But I think I just sometimes I get too into my head, and you know, kind of stop myself sometimes, because when I launch 100%, like I have to keep that up. You know, I can't fail my customers, and so sometimes I'm kind of like psyching myself, like, oh wow, if I do launch completely like 100% and I'm successful, like, you know, I got this up. But I work through that though. I work against out still what to do. And I learned to be a little bit more compassionate to myself. Although I'm not going as fast as I want to, I'm still moving forward. It's still gonna happen. Like it's gonna happen. So, because I know that I've set a point in my life where I no longer want to have a traditional job. So it's going to happen.
Yeah, I was gonna say you just started another traditional job, right? So you're working 40 plus hours a week
Yeah.
then, plus your business.
Mhm. Right.
Yeah, so it's so much of what you just said is so good, right? You get into our head, can't fail attitude, the imposter syndrome that holds us back because we're just like, it's got to be perfect. It's got to be perfect. You know, and, you know, if you ever listen to so many people, it's like you're gonna build your wings on the way down. It's gonna hurt. You're not gonna be right. I mean, look at Microsoft. They put stuff out before it's fully ready, and they learn along the way, and it gets better, and they put out updates. And some people criticize them for it, but it's probably they probably develop it to the better spot faster because of it, because they're getting so much feedback.
Right.
But some of us get frustrated because we want to be the early adopters.
And the thing of it is that the people that are always complaining are always the ones that are complaining anyway, you know, they're not adaptive either. Yep.
Latricia, how about yourself? What's that big thing that's limiting you in priority management?
I think for me is sometimes I can be my own worst enemy, because sometimes I have a problem with even though I know that we have a higher priority, but if someone needs my attention, or if something else needs my attention, whether it's my family or a client, I'll shift my priority to make room for them. So instead of just saying no, can you give me an hour because I got to get this done? So I'll shift my schedule to accommodate other people. Sometimes, not all the time, but I think that that's my Achilles heel, is not saying no sometimes when I should.
Yeah, that's a tough one, right? You don't want to let a client down, but you want to be there for them, but you haven't put that into your schedule. Do you put white space into your day?
I do, but sometimes my white space gets quickly filled with other people's priorities.
Yep. Are those priorities yours to do, or can other people do them?
Sometimes they're things that only I can do,
Okay.
especially now that it's pretty well. It should become better because now I have other people on my team that can help me. Well, as soon as they learn more about the business, but for now, a lot of it is me, because I'm the only one that actually has the knowledge to go with it. So,
So your goal is to increase everybody else's knowledge so they can take on some of that off your plate, right?
correct.
Yeah, good stuff. Daryl, how about you? What's the big limiting thing in your time priority?
I think it's a couple of different things. So it's making sure that I'm organized, right? And that there are, I guess for lack of a better term, like a list of tasks that I have to knock out, prioritizing those tasks and really focusing and just getting the work done. If that makes sense. I know that's kind of vague, but okay, for example, it's okay, so I'm doing a compensation study now, all right? But for this compensation study, I know there are quite a few steps that should happen in a certain sequence so I can actually get the work done. So collecting the data sets, holding the interviews, making sure that I know exactly what I'm comparing, one job to and to another job in another, agency or sector or whatever. And then wrapping my mind around it so I know exactly what needs to happen and having the tools ready or the templates or whatever the format ready. Yeah, so that's it, because it's hard for me to get done unless I have a vision of what the end result should look like.
Yeah. Have you
So-
done enough of them to know how long each step takes and what the whole thing should take based upon the complexity?
Roughly, yeah, the hardest part is the job classification crosswalk, kind of like we do with metal tasks or whatever. So this job is equal to this job in this agency, and this job is equal to this job in this other agency, and so on and so forth. And then the data collection and cleaning up the data sets. That's the toughest part. Once I have those things, the rest is I don't want to say easy, but it becomes a lot less complicated, and I can really get the ball rolling. But I can't do that quite yet because we still have to have conversations with the client, and that having 2 months to do one of these things is not a lot of time.
Mhm.
So there's a little frustration there, but it's all about just making sure they're organized. The list of tasks are there, and then whatever I need to accomplish those tasks, whether they're templates or whether it's a process or access to a certain platform or whatever, and then just focusing and leaving the phone in the other room.
There you go. I have used that example so many times the last couple of weeks, talking to people.
Yeah, it's
with the
bad because you
phone,
just
the
pick it
other
up
room.
for no reason. It's like, oh, what's on Instagram, what's on Facebook, and it's like, really? Is this what I'm like? Is this going to move me forward any? No.
Yep. You feel like you're getting a grip on your distractions?
A little bit, yeah. It's a work in progress.
Always, yeah.
It's a work in progress, but you have to be intentional about it. Like set up the workspace, make sure there's nothing there that's going to distract me from the task at hand, which is getting the work done or whatever it is, doing the marketing, getting the work done, whatever, answering emails, whatever it is. Get rid of all that extraneous kind of BS that's around, including that phone, because nothing's happening on the phone unless it rings.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
Messages,
you?
whatever, it's like, nope. Priority right now are emails from clients. I don't care about what's going on in your life right now. I can't do that.
Yep.
We can talk about that after work, but
That's priorities, right?
right.
Yeah. Regina, how about yourself? What's the big limiting factor for you on time? So I know you've got a full-time job too, right?
No, I actually took the fall off from school. So
Okay.
I pretty much sucked up 12 semester credit hours that would have been finished. I also was supposed to start teaching with my other business, which I have, it's actually licensed. It would have been from Udemy to LinkedIn to Teachables to Thinkific, and I would have been teaching literature and poetry. But I sacrificed those two things to be able to start the businesses to help David to be able to transition from the civilian job that he has. And so what I feel sometimes limits me, and it's funny because David's right here right now at the end of the table, so he knows this already. But what I feel like limits me is he does work 8, sometimes 9, 10 hours a day on his job. And then I'm creating, I'm trying to do as I said, the advertising, I'm trying to do the blogs, I'm trying to build the base up. and then he gets off work and I feel like he needs a little bit of a break. And then by the time we get started, it may be 7 o'clock at night. And then he's up till maybe we're trying to make it 10 or 11. So 3 hours really isn't a lot of time for both of us to come together and agree, because it feels like we have to go over and we have to talk about it, and then we have to initiate it. And then he's trying to work on one thing, I'm trying to work on one thing, and it's just not meshing. And I had originally we tried to figure out who would be the better business to start first. And somehow it just all came together yesterday where they just all were up. And I guess we'll see from there. But I do feel like that I don't get a lot of time with David. And because he does have the business degree, I have like all these questions.
Yeah.
And I can't answer them myself. So I have to wait for him.
Yeah. I want to open it up. So we've heard kind of each person's perspective. And I think, Matt, if you were to talk about MTR, I'm just going to add this in. If you
Sure.
were to talk to MTR and our biggest limiting factor from a priority management, what would you call it for us?
Cash. The finances to do what we need to do, because we both also own our own businesses. We have other interests, and it's just cash and time management. We're going after grants, we're going after money to grow this, expand this, and that's our biggest limiting factor is cash. And then the other thing is the two of us, I was kind of listening to you, Regina, is like nodding my head, because I love my partner, Don Gleason, but sometimes we have some fundamental differences in how we do things. But I have to also say this: if you've had the DISC assessment and you read about DISC assessments, and one of my favorite books I've listened to in the last couple months is Surrounded by Idiots, the guy that created that DISC system. I really, really encourage you to do that. And it's just like, we're coming together. Things are coming, not going at the speed that I know Don and I would like, but it's like slow increments. But time and money are the two biggest things I would say.
Just want to touch Surrounded by Idiots.
Yeah, it's a great book. It is a great book. I'm listening to that on Audible. That's the guy that created the system that you're using, Don, for this system. He just uses different colors, I'm a red, you're a blue. Not really.
Thomas Erickson is not the guy. His name is William Marston from 1934 at Harvard.
Okay.
I don't know much about Thomas Erickson, but it's different guys.
But
It's very similar.
very
It's based
similar.
upon common processes. And I think, Regina, that's what David's talked to you about, is doing DISC and debriefs with both of you together to understand your styles. So it's like Matt and I were talking, right? We're totally different styles, but figuring out how to work together has been the challenge. And so often we have that in every business. And I think that's one thing David wants to do with you and he. So I want to open it up. Now we got 4 of us, right? Who has any suggestions for each other as we are talking to help? So maybe you've tackled something, right? And I'll just start with one. Something I just did. I bought into, for my for-profit business. I really want to launch my career transition coaching to non-military, using the same idea we're doing here. And I've developed all the different aspects of it, and I've hired somebody to help me launch that and work through all the different pieces of it. But what I found is I was trying to go through the videos and stuff and do the work. Excuse me, was I didn't have the time. So I was literally coming back from camping a couple of weeks ago, and I listed all the things that I was doing. And I said, a bunch of this is going to go away. So which ones go away? So I created that piece in my head of, where am I going, right? I'm going to launch this. I'm going to launch at the end of October. I've got to have this time available. Which of these are giving me value? And Daryl, we create accountability groups through John Maxwell team. Well, I had several of them that were kind of just chat sessions now. We talk once a week that were a half hour to an hour. And it's like, it's not giving me any value. Gone. And I just started deleting things. I said, I'm not going to do that anymore. Look, I love the 4-block program. But the last couple semesters, I sat in on every session. Nope, not going to do that. I sat in last night because I hosted a room. But other than that, I haven't attended the first 4 weeks. So I had to take things out of my schedule purposely that were not helping me get to my endpoint.
Yeah.
And that's, so those become distractions, right? Anything that's not getting you to your endpoint. So same thing with podcasts. I love to listen to some podcasts, but I've got a whole bunch of them that I would like to listen to, but they're not going to get me to where I want to go. It's kind of extra stuff.
Mhm.
I'm just kind of holding on to them, and I'm listening only to what is really of true value.
Yep.
So that's my big lesson that really I think applies to anybody, is get rid of all those extra things. Because like you said, Regina, David's only got so much time. So he's really got to be outside of work, very deliberate.
I kind of feel sorry for him because on the weekends he had to take Sunday just to play piano and kind of get himself, I guess, focused because he was starting to get really stressed. And he'd also worked overtime during the week. And so that's left me pretty much doing everything myself. And I don't have a problem with that because of what I was doing, I could do by myself. And I actually find that it has made me far more, even more hyperdrive motivated than I was before, because now what would have taken like 4 hours to do my house, I can do it in 45 minutes.
There you go.
I even
That's
have a
impressive.
schedule.
I'm impressed, Regina.
That's right.
You're impressed.
Then
Yeah,
there's that,
yeah, I'm really into it now.
then there's that question of what you can outsource, right?
Yes.
Do you need to keep mowing the yard? Do you need to keep cleaning the house? Do you need to? Can
Well,
somebody
hey,
else do
I
it?
actually went back to doing laundry. We had taken a break because we have a dryer problem. And I am actually doing 5 loads of laundry a day, plus sweeping, mopping, Swiffering. It somehow the business has made it to where I'm like hyperdrive on everything else, but I'm loving it.
There you go.
I just wish that, and I know we're not there yet, but I will just be so thankful when we are just kind of meshing together a little bit better. And then we have been able to actually start the process of moving. My parents are older, and my dad's retired Navy, and he has service-related illness.
Mhm.
And my older daughter had to give up her apartment where she lived, which was a very, very nice place near Virginia. And she had to come back into West Virginia. And now she lives in my parents' house is tri-level. So she lives in the bottom level, which is like an apartment, honestly. But she was crying on the phone. So then all this, well, let's go back to Florida because that's where we're from. Let's look at Alabama because that's where we originally were going to go. Is now back to really, maybe we should move closer to where my parents are, like in Huntington, to sort of help pick up the slack with them, where the rest of my family, my mom's family, I should say, and my older 2 daughters are at. So now we have that. So
Yeah. Some good points. So we've got 10 minutes left, and we normally don't start accountability yet, but unless anybody's got any suggestions for anybody. Matt, anything?
I do have a suggestion.
Go
Okay.
ahead.
Regina, one of the things I think that's important is to have quality conversation time with your spouse. Okay. And how I do it with the lovely lady that I've been married to for 25 years is every morning we have a conversation. Now, we didn't have one today because we had a 7 o'clock session, but we make it a point to set aside time. The other thing I do is I set aside time every Friday morning for breakfast and church with my wife. Cannot get on my schedule unless you're Joe Biden or someone like that. And I think she would understand, but she knows how I value time with her. And I think that would be something that you want to look at with David. How can I set aside some time? No phones, no distractions. Time without other interference would be something to think about.
And maybe you kind of segregate part of that as non-business time.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Okay.
My wife-
Yep.
Yeah, back in the 90s, my wife and I were running a church youth group program called Awana. I don't know if anybody's familiar with it.
Yes, I used to be
Yeah.
in Awana with our daughter, yes.
Yeah. And we found out that every minute of every time we had together was about Awana. So we actually went on a date and we said, no Awana talk tonight. We sat there staring at each other.
Yeah, we took time last night to watch the season finale of Vandervalk on
Okay.
PBS. And we do try to do the big breakfast on Saturday.
Good.
And we do church on Sunday. It is TV. That's because where we are, there really isn't a physical church to go to for us. So that was another reason why moving would be important, because that's one of David's priorities, is to be able to get back into church so that we
Yeah.
do have that environment that would be encouraging and prayer, but also just for our own sense of spirituality.
Yep. That's so important. I mean, you got to have sleep. You got to have some relaxation time, right? Your mind has to slow down at some point, and then it actually thinks better. So by going hyper all the time, you never give it time to think, and you'll create worse solutions.
Right.
All right, so let's go into accountability. And I want to focus this accountability on what we just talked about, priority management, right? There's probably other things that you're going to be working on, but what is one thing that we can hold you accountable for in terms of priority management to get a grip on it? You all said it was your biggest challenge. What's the one thing you can do? Who wants to start?
I'll go first. I'll say
Okay.
2 things. One is the first, oh my gosh, I just lost it. The first is developing a routine.
Yep.
First thing. So in the morning, get up, take a shower, brush my snags, whatever, have breakfast, and then maybe do 15 minutes of meditation, and then, start getting into the work. So that's the routine that I need to start developing again, which I fell out of a couple of months ago. The second thing is establishing we'll just say a calendar, right? So these are the tasks that I'm going to do today, or task list, whatever you want to call it. But these are the tasks I'm going to do today, allot a certain amount of time, and then just focus singularly on those tasks and just knock them out. Of course, giving yourself breaks, because everybody needs a little cognitive break every once in a while. So maybe every hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever it is for you, take 10 minutes or whatever, and then get back into it.
Yeah.
And don't let the 5 or 10 minutes turn into 30 or 45.
Stay away from that phone, right?
Yep, stay away from it. You don't need it. It's a crutch. We didn't have them in the 70s and 80s and 90s. We don't need them now.
That's right. The best thing that's helped me on what you just said for that calendar is estimating the amount of time for the task and scheduling it in the calendar.
Yep.
Because I often say I need to get these things done today, but my whole calendar is full and there's no place to put them.
Yep. And then for me, I have a bad habit of underestimating. So for me, it's like I need to multiply that by 1.5. So if I think it's an hour is now 90 minutes for me. And then if I get extra time back, awesome. That either means that I could take off a little earlier, possibly, or get some other tasks done. And then also preparing for the work the next day, the night before. So at the end of the day, it's like set up my tasks and set up the the task list or schedule or whatever. That way I'm not messing with that in the morning. I just walk into it. So
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
So
We're
to
going to hold
speak.
you accountable to getting the routine within the next 2 weeks. You'll have that routine in place. And
exactly.
then task calendar. We want to hear how it's going.
Mhm.
Setting up the night before, following it the next day, prioritizing it, putting it in your calendar.
Right. And that should be the close of, for me anyway, that should be the close of my day. The close of my day should be the preparation for the following day.
Yeah. Excellent. Latricia, how about you? What's the one thing you can work on to help you with priority management?
Taking back control of my time.
What does that mean?
That means, whatever my priorities are, I'm trying to stick to them no matter what comes up in the day. Like whatever I have on my schedule, stick to it as closely as possible.
Okay. I'm going to ask you the tough question. How are you going to do that?
By saying no more.
Okay.
It's a hard thing to do sometimes,
Yeah.
Patricia.
It It is hard, but
Yeah.
I've done it before. I've done it before.
Well, that's
So
why you were an Air Force Chief Master Sergeant.
it's not impossible.
Yep.
There you go.
You already have an idea of the boundaries, so that makes it easier to say no.
Yes.
Okay.
But also Matt made an important point also when he was talking about, because I know also another thing that's been lacking that kind of has been a factor contributing to that is I gotta make time in my schedule for the date night with my spouse so that she doesn't feel neglected. So
Thank you for saying that.
Happy wife, happy life.
yeah,
And you can, and you could probably say it flip way around, right? Happy husband, happy life.
There you go.
It really needs to be both ways.
Mhm.
Yep.
All right, thanks. Thanks for digging in, Latricia. How about you, Regina? What's one thing we can hold you accountable for?
Well, when listening to Daryl, I thought I would show you sort of this, just maybe you can see it. So every day, every night before I go to bed, I write out my schedule. I highlight it throughout the day. I alternate between green and orange. And the one thing that he also said that I'm really trying to incorporate is my yoga. So I have stopped my yoga. I stopped my 10-minute, arms, tushy, legs, abs. And I also haven't done my Pilates. And so basically I've stopped my exercise completely. And that, even though I can clean the house and I have multiple pets and I can micromanage all of that, the one thing that I really am not doing is really taking care of myself in the sense of I'm not exercising. So I did also used to meditate and I'm not. I just recently started getting back into, I wouldn't call it a Bible study. It's like I watch TV that's Bible based for maybe like 30 minutes a day. And then I pray in the bathtub.
Mhm.
It's
I
horrible
think
to
those are all
say,
really
but
important things. I
Yeah.
mean,
so
especially
I
the
do
exercise piece, because that
Yeah.
brain uses a bunch of oxygen, and exercise just kind of helps to feed it a little bit more efficiently, I think.
that, right.
But yeah,
And I have a tendency to have super low blood pressure, like 98/53.
Ooh.
And
Whoa.
yeah, I do. I know you'd never know it, would you? But I do. And so the exercise sort of helps me to be a little bit more balanced with that. So to try to get my my numbers up a little bit more, that's like 100 on top would be awesome, and I don't know what 60s or something on the bottom. But and then that, I guess that's basically it, is trying to figure out how to incorporate the exercise and the quiet time or the meditation that I used to do. So probably about an hour, just trying to figure out where the hour is. And also from listening to everyone today, I get the feeling that your businesses didn't just take off overnight.
Ooh, 2 years.
No. 2
Like
years. Okay.
Yeah.
And Latricia, how long was yours?
It was a while, especially me and my wife business. I would say that even though it started almost 4 years ago, I would say that it just now started taking off maybe in this past year.
Okay.
And it was actually moving around and finding the right spot here in San Antonio before it actually really took off, to find where it was like centrally located, where it actually met the criteria that we wanted it to meet, as far as meeting the right clientele and stuff, the right mixture of client base and stuff. So
Yeah, it takes the time.
and
It takes
and
time,
like
takes
Daryl
dedicated
was
effort.
saying, it was like a lot of adjusting and redefining and
Yep.
stuff over the course of those 4 years. So the initial vision changed over the course of time as well. So Like Daryl said, sometimes your initial vision is gonna require some adjusting and modification.
Mhm.
And thank you both for saying that, because
Yeah.
I have actually taken the business up and down 3 times, trying to find our niche.
Mhm.
And I feel like that we have paper Bear, self-explanatory, and then Bear and Bell's cottage. Cottage, as I've explained to David, even though we have that EIN number through the IRS, cottage sort of limits me to where I feel like I have to sort of alter it a little bit, because I just don't want to have a bunch of pillows and you know, blankets or
Mhm.
coffee mugs. And I'm not a t-shirt person. I don't want to just sit here and sell t-shirts. I don't mind a cute, cheeky t-shirt once in a while, but I don't want to just do t-shirts. And I actually want to have a business when this is over, something that we can pass on to our daughters and, you know, have a legacy. So thank you both for actually what you just said about, you know, you do have to kind of take it up, take it down, tweak it, look at it, and figure out what works depending on where you
Yep.
live as well, like
Yep.
what she was saying for San Antonio. So because I feel like that when we move from here and we're able to put that a little bit more within the local community where you're on Google Maps, people can actually like track you down through your links and stuff. Maybe even the taste of what our businesses would be in another area would be different for that local community. Also, you would have, for us, you would have farmers markets, ability to go into boutiques, local art areas, and put up that, put your products out as a physical product where you could sell from there as well. So I think that it's just tweaking. It's just that, you know, hurry up and wait it sucks.
Yep. So I'm gonna watch our time here. We're about 4 minutes over, and I want to respect your guys' time. We try to keep it right at an hour. So great conversation. Thanks, Regina, for jumping in. Can we send you an application to join us? Did what you see today encourage you that you want to be a part of this?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Daryl and Latricia, I
Latricia.
can't see it on my readers on. I'm sorry. Yes, and just Matt, all of you have definitely given me some food for thought. And again, I appreciate so much what both of you just said. Very inspiring and encouraging for me.
Good. Two announcements we want to hit on is we got two webinars next week. You can see one behind me. It's a career transition panel on Tuesday night. You can see it if you go to our LinkedIn posts. Matt and I, we both shared it, and it's an Eventbrite link, so appreciate you registering. And next Thursday, the 20th, we're doing one is kind of explaining the gap in your resume, a gentleman out of Boeing. I know neither of those probably are directly for you guys, but we'd love any referrals of people you know that are transitioning out of the service.
So I have to respectfully disagree, and here's why. All right. Sometimes when you're applying for business loans and they look at your work history, then
Sure.
that there's what Charles is going to say will help you understand why there was a gap. What did you do with the gap? Did you sit around and play golf every day, or did you do something relevant that was work related? Yeah, I understand what you're saying, Don. But that gap thing,
It's not transition to another job, but it is important for this. It's kind of like what I shared last week from my Bunkers Labs, which was
Yeah.
the pitch
Yeah.
deck.
One of the people we know is also participating, Sam, took a 2-year hiatus from work because he's taking care of elderly parents. Well, Charles will help you understand how that can be put into some kind of reference. Well, this is what I did for 2 years. I managed this and this and this. That's all business operations stuff. And
I
so,
want to watch our time here. Point well taken.
Yep.
That was good.
okay, sorry.
We're at 6 minutes over.
I
want
know.
to respect your time, so we'll bring this
And
to
I
a
have to go.
close.
So yes, I have to, but I could not let you go by without saying, hey, think about
That's
this.
a good point. That was a good point.
Yeah.
Okay,
Patricia, I owe you a remake because I had to go see the doctor yesterday for
Yeah.
something. So,
Yes.
okay. Sorry
Yeah.
about that.
Everybody have a good 2 weeks. I'm looking forward to hear how you do on the time accountability, priority management accountability the next 2 weeks. And
All right.
sign-
Thanks,
sign
guys.
Sign into
you.
Slack.
Nice meeting everyone.
All right.
Nice meeting you.
Hey, Don, real quick. Dr. Michael Horton's going to join us for Thursday at 4 o'clock.
I saw your email. That's great.
Okay, all right. Ciao.
Ciao.
Bye. I'm the slow one. Hang on.
That's all right.